welcome. I'm gonna save that change in there. Doesn't matter that it's updating twice. Yeah, get rid of that exception that I threw in there. Good. What else did we change? I put the save changes in there. What was the other bit? An extra line. Who cares? Saving auth patch immediately. But I can't explain why that worked, why it didn't work. But yeah, 2 hours to go through, investigate, and all right, it's working. We had a see that's still it's a giant index. It's rebuilding. Hey, how you doing there, Vicious? Let me go out to the feedback site. See what those items were. All playlist missing on channel page. Copy 3 playlists. Yeah, there's those errors that I got copying playlists. There's something going on. No, the name collision is already handled.
Let's find out what all is broken. I'll switch screens here shortly. Oh man. Good times this morning so far. Good times. Interact. Okay. That's good. Let's head over to this screen. Hello, hello, whoa. Hello, and welcome to another Daily Code Fun. I am One Lion, and thank you, Tommy. And this morning is broken. You guys heard some C# Fritz earlier when my headphones disconnected and would not reconnect. I hope you enjoyed the stuff he was talking about. So I'm watching his stream off on the side. And thank you, Dukasok. I hope you are all having a fantastic day, whatever time it happens to be for you. I'm having fun. I had a phone call just before the stream as well at around 10 o'clock. And I will be scheduling my next round of interviews with Google soon. Yay. And hello, good VJ. So I've seen you active on Discord, which is really cool, but I haven't seen you much in the streams. Good to see ya. I hope you're having a fantastic, wonderful day and week, and however long it's been since we have seen you. Is there anything else that I need to update? Thank you, Tommy. Do. Okay, what all needs to come on screen before we get to the desktop? You, not you. It's not open. Does anyone want some Milo, by the way? It's this side. This side. The Milo stays on top. Good video. Hilarious stuff. Good times. All right, so that's there. What else? I need this up, and that's it. Just those two. And I may as well bring you to the foreground. Okay, so I may get interrupted with another call, but I'm going to tell them to call back if they do call after afternoon, because as you know, after the stream, I have a meeting on Tuesdays, usually. And here we are. Okay, welcome back to the financial management tracker thing. This is the application that we've been working on. This is actually the database design for it. We came up with, I think, a pretty good schema, but there were just things that were missing on it. Oh, I can move it over now. And those are in green, the ones that we came up with last time, as well as a relationship that's going to get removed and a property that's going to get removed and replaced by this one, which is going to get turned into that same green color. And any new relationships between those. So I broke down and I actually started using a diagramming tool. This is Lucid Chart. I got cool earphones. I've had these for like a billion. And no, I just signed up with a free subscription. Or free subscription with a free account. So yeah. So here's the other thing that I was thinking. Not only do we have deposits and the reason for the deposit, but we also have transfers with their own individual reasons as well. So those things would be like the transfer from checking to savings or whatever. And that one, I don't know that I want to be from a dropdown. I kind of want it to just be a memo, because you could just easily know you're transferring from checking to savings when you are given a transaction ID that is from your checking account to your savings account. However, the thing we don't have is a way to do a transaction detail for that transfer, because that's the only place that we have the amount. Oh, they're all going to be subtotals. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do, or totals. That's what I ended up deciding anyway. We're just gonna use the line item type of total, and that's going to be a database specific one. I need to dismiss this. How do I dismiss it? Dismiss, 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 and finally block. Okay. So I think I might just use a memo for transfers instead of a separate table. I was thinking I would want a separate table for the transfer reason, but I think memo is going to be good enough. And then having the transaction detail with a line item of subtotal or total is going to be good enough. Cool. We'll think about that. But anyway, it looks like we have a pretty good handle on what we need as far as completing this payment stuff. Oh, that's what I did. Okay. And I do remember thinking about transactions. So we're going to put a sticky note out here. It says fill in details after or while setting up scheduled transactions functionality. Okay, so we're going to add some more details about the scheduled transactions when we get to that point. And I put it off for now because I thought it would be a little bit easier to think about when we get to that point. But for now, let's go ahead and implement these changes in a migration in the database, which is to remove this property, the navigation property to payees from transactions, and then add the payments table, the deposits table, and the deposit reasons table along with their properties and relationships. Good to go? Good to go. And before I continue, does anyone have any questions about what we're doing, why we're doing it? Although I don't really want to explain why we're doing it this way, but I will if you ask. It's one of the hardest things for me to do, and I need to practice it, I guess. Like, why am I making the decisions I am making? And the answer is because I thought about it, and it's the decision I've come to. So deal with it. It kind of feels like I say that subconsciously, preemptively. I need to stop that. Okay, we got some database work to do. I'm going to close everything. This is called sketching UI. I'm going to go ahead and do this in a branch off of sketching UI. So let's commit our current changes. What did we modify in here? We added design. Okay, that's fine. And then we added a view model. So added links to other pages in nav. Started sketching deposit entry. Created deposit view model. Okay, so we'll branch off of sketching UI to do more database work, and then we'll merge into sketching UI. Update database. That's I can't remember who said it, but that's not confusing at all. Calling a table in the database transaction, because when we're updating database transactions, we're talking about the transaction table, not the actual transaction concept that you do in databases. Finan trans. We'll call it that. Update database finan trans. So financial transactions is the thing that we're updating. The structure for financial transactions. Okay, and the way that we do that is we in trans, where are we? Database. In payee, we're going to need to get rid of the relationship to transaction. In transaction, get rid of the payee ID and relationship to payee. And finally, one more thing to delete, right? Delete the relationship, delete that. I don't see any more red. All right, everything else is just an add. So, a couple of tables, payment, which we call entities in C# when referring to objects that belong in a database. Have I been making these partial classes? I have. It transaction id. I already forgot what else would you do. Hello, APOC. Just saying hi. That's all. That's how he says hello. Hooray! I like the accidental R. The payee ID. And that gives us a couple of virtual props. One for transaction, call it transaction. Which is not going to be null. So that is absolutely required to have a well, it's going. So I just had a thought though, and it's bad. Thinking is bad. No, it's not that bad. So here's what the issue would be. Let's say that I was returning an actual payment object from my query, from my API, sorry, using JSON, and I wanted to serialize this payment object. We would run into a cycle issue, either serialize or deserialize. But it would be from this end, so serialize. We would run into a cycle where a payment points to a payee, and a payee points to I collection of payment which will point back to this. And the way to stop that is to either not populate this payments or not populate payee. But this can't be null, so I could never return a payment object without at least this being a new payee. We'll find out. We'll see what kind of implications this has. But I'm only using data transfer objects and view models when I'm moving stuff from between server and client. So I don't think it's going to be an issue. All right, and then the other one was deposit, the purple deposit, which is going to have an ID. Oh, come on, I accepted it. I said yes. Not account ID. Yes, account ID. But also transaction ID? No. So this is going to be the target account ID. Wait, no. No, that's a transfer that I was thinking of. It's deposit reason ID that I wanted, and we need a deposit reason. Oh, partial. Did I clean you? I did. I did. Okay, so int deposit raison ID id. Oh, help. Okay, which needs a public virtual transaction. Was I just doing not null or null forgiveness on all of these that have a relationship to another? Everything has a list of. Yeah, I was. Wait, that's the one that I just did. Account type, yes. Yes. But here I know. Yeah, that's going to be fun. Back to the purple deposit. Points to anyone who can tell me what the purple deposit is from. Except for you. Oops, I meant to do both of those. All right. Give me a new type in a new file called deposit raison. Raisins. Deposit raisins. Public. Oh, wait. You are just going to be a base lookup item. I forgot the name of it. Lookup item base. And then are we going to have anything else special in this table that is different than any other lookup item? I mean, lookup table? Kind of doesn't look like it. Okay. Great. Fantastic. Wonderful. Save. So nothing special about that. It's going to get everything that we get for free from this abstract class, which is the, well, it's actually this abstract class that uses an int as the ID. Cool. Very good. So that now that we have created those objects and made those I forgot something. Transaction now needs a relationship with, and this one is nullable here, a public virtual deposit deposit. So that's nullable because not every transaction is a deposit. Just like not every transaction is a transfer, and not every transaction is a payment. Which means that if I set it up correctly, yeah, I hope Entity Framework will understand that this side of the navigation property means that we are not required to have a deposit object. My brother just texted me. Okie dokie. Yeah, I don't really know why I even put this unmapped property unless I'm doing it there so that when I create the view model, yeah, that's what it was. What would Entity Framework do if I tried to create a link to entities using these unmapped properties? I'm really interested to find that out. Because these are just, convenience properties that gives me whether or not the current record that I'm looking at from the transaction table is a deposit, is a payment, is a transfer. But it's not going to be stored in the database anyway. Database. Okay. We'll find out what happens. Am I missing any of these other relationships? So I have deposits to deposit reason. Does my deposit reason have, oh, it doesn't have a navigation property for public virtual I collection close, not transaction detail, but deposit. So how many deposits have the reason regular paycheck, for example? Oh, tasty. Cool. So our next step is to add those new models to our context. So we added a deposit. We added a we added a we added a deposit reason and payments. Oops. Cool. Oh no. This needs to be a lookup deposit reason, because that's what I made all of my lookup tables. Consistency is key. I don't know if I actually answered you fully, APOC, and if you're still listening, of course. But yes, it is going super duper well. I've been having a ton of fun. I hope you guys are having fun too. Either being productive or just having me off onto the side or fully paying attention, whatever you're doing. I hope it is a good time for you. Cool. Here's another fun thing that I want to do. Fire Ghost Dragon says lurking is fun. Awesome. Good time, but so hot. How hot is it, APOC? Let me tell you, it's so hot. You also moved to a new house yesterday. Awesome. Congratulations on the new house. That sounds very exciting and also tedious, but also very exciting. How do we do this? We say, give me all objects in the assembly. Actually, you know what? I've been wondering if Copilot knows how to do this. So find all classes in the current assembly that use the lookup or that inherit from lookup item base. What do you say, Copilot? How about loop through? Master Red, hello. So the Google interview was on last week, Tuesday, which we talked about. Today was just the recruiter calling me back to say they want to continue with the next set of interviews. So I need to schedule that day, essentially. And when I do schedule that day, it's going to be, I will most likely not be streaming on that day. You want to make a comment? Ooh, ooh, this might actually be it. Where T is class and not T is abstract. I would have forgotten to do this check. And T is subclass of type of lookup item. Yes. Yes. I think therefore eat spam. And look at this. It even wrote this and this because it knows that all of these except that it doesn't know that it has the property name on it. So would I be able to cast to I lookup item? Cannot convert lambda expression to type string. Okay. Can you make recommendations as a Google employee? Most likely, yeah. Imagine streaming your interview. Master, let me just ask chat real quick. Yeah, Broken Sword last streamed about 3 months ago. Like everyone kind of scattered after my schedule just went to poopy. Excuse me, I'm trying to. Can I cast it when I'm passing it in? How am I gonna get... Oh, is there an overload on property that does string name? Yes, yes, there is. So name of I lookup item dot name. Whoops. And do you also have an overload that takes a string or an array of string? Yes, maybe. Let's find out. And that takes care of all of these that don't have any extra properties. So all of my lookups. And then if I do have any with extra properties, I will just leave those configurations here. Awesome. Everything is awesome. Um, but Masterette says, yeah, keeping community together is a hard grind. I mean, like, I'm not doing anything particularly special to try to make sure that people don't leave. I do enjoy seeing people here and doing my best to encourage anyone that is interested in software development to keep going and to do and just, yeah, be excited about it because I care a lot about software development and I think everyone can and should if they are interested in it. That's the only requirement. Um, okay. Tugasoft says, well, the coffee is free. But yeah, it would be really cool to have all of our usual viewers hang out and encourage others. But yeah, my schedule is time to drink water. My schedule is not as plus yeah. I'm no longer like streaming work product, which was one of the appeals, but we are streaming a project that I plan on using and having be open source and hopefully other people use. But yeah, that is everything that we need to set up these tables because our deposit table doesn't have any properties that need to be configured. Our payment table doesn't have any properties that need to be configured. And we already configured our deposit reason using this reflection-based table configuration for all of our lookup tables. Dukasoft says, the project feels just as good to me. That's cool. I am glad then. I am very, very glad. So what do you say? Shall we try this migration? I kind of want to commit my changes first so that we can modify the tables as needed and roll back as needed in case things break worse than I want them to. So added financial transaction related tables. I just meant to do a local commit, but whatever. Commit and push works. All right, so I'm going to set this as my default project, my migrations project, and we're going to add a migration using the package manager console. Since we made changes to the database entities, we're going to apply them to the database by using the built-in entity framework core functionality called migration. So add migration, added finance tables. I'm sure I could have come up with a better name, but that would have taken the rest of the stream. No. Oh, I'm going to make sure that I have the right project selected from the default project dropdown in the package manager console. And it says property name cannot be added to the type because no property type was specified and there is no corresponding CLR property. I don't think it likes this approach here. Can I specify the type still with this overload? Oh, what if we just use type like this? How about now? I kind of love the error messages, so cryptic. Yeah, it's pretty much saying that the B arrows here is a dictionary of string object. But this one, on the other hand, says custom attribute data requires a primary key be defined. If you intended to use a keyless type, use. So now it's saying that the property. Yeah, wait, no, we're done here now. But now it's pretty much saying that probably what it's saying is that my lookups don't have a key. B oh, has key. Let's just do of int because oh, why did you do parentheses? Amin is here. Holy cow. I was just talking about all of the fantastic people from our past. Hello, Amin. Welcome back. It's been a while. I hope you have been doing well. You know what? I can't get it to work. So this is what I meant by undoing a lot of the stuff because I'm trying to be too creative, too cool, and I'm just not. I'm just going to delete this actually. Current, I think there are 5 lookup tables now. So let's do lookup count type. Oh, let's just undo. Deleted. Look up deposit reason. Deposit raisins. Is that all of them? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Count type, category, deposit raisin, line item type. Where's line item type? Guys. I missed one anyway. Good thing. All right. Now this migration should work. But Amin was saying the past days were hard. Why? Why were the past days hard? What made them hard? And then he asked, everyone on vacation? Who isn't? I'm not. It's Amin, so let's give everything to Amin. Yes. All right. I didn't see anything weird, like it's trying to re-upload our seed data. So we don't need to worry about that. We're dropping the foreign key, as we expected, from transaction to payee, as well as the index payee ID and the column payee ID from transactions. Yes. We define the name property to have a max length of nvarchar 80 from nvarchar max, which we finally fixed. You know what? That was on here. We did see that. I just now remembered. Oh, dang. Anyway, we'll get this one as well when we come back to do it. But it wasn't line items that I saw that in. It was transaction scheduled transaction. Also update the memo column to be nvarchar 255 apps. Anyone else had any properties that were weird that I didn't pick up on just now? No, we're good. All right, then we created deposit reasons, created a relationship to transaction. Did I not set up? Oh, here it is. Wait, duh. Deposit reasons is not the one that gets the foreign key constraint. It is deposit on that. So let's look at these other two tables. We created payments, and that one got a foreign key constraint to the transaction table and the payees table. Where is my constraint saying that this is not required? I wonder if it doesn't need it because this isn't on the transaction table. If it was on the transaction table, then we would need some way to make sure that the transaction table knew that it was optional. But this is in the actual deposits table or payments table somewhere down here. Oh, payments table is up here. Yeah, I think we should be good. I think this is going to be fine. I still do want to see the sequel for it. So I'm going to do a script migration. Amin is saying, who should prepare a demo? Of course, Amin, but you know what? Let's only talk about vacations. Oh, are you talking about what's going on with your workplace? Where you're kind of being you have a big project or something that you need to present and everyone just wants to talk about vacations. It's like, guys, we got work. Why am I the only one doing work? Why am I the only one that cares that there is work to be done? Smaller. What use it? There. Okay. Where's the next migration? So what I look for when I do this is my insert into EF migration history. So this is the end of the previous migration, which is also our first migration. So from then on, I want to see what changes are going to be made to the database. So we're dropping the constraint, the foreign key constraint between transaction and payees, and the column if it exists, and we are, which one is this? It's so hard to see this sometimes. We are dropping a constraint to line item types. I don't remember what that one was. Hope you're good too, Amin. Have a fantastic rest of your day. I hope we can give you some de-stressing. We have a rant room if you just want to get out the whole story without anyone telling you that you're wrong for feeling the way you do. Because you're not. I'm not sure why it's dropping a constraint to line item types unless it's specifically for altering that column so that it can be 80 characters and then re-adding the index, because this almost seems like it's dropping any constraints on that column so that it can modify the column to add it later. Yes, yes, that is the case. Okay. Now you know. All right. I am not angry at that at all. I'm furious. Update database. No red, no red. It looks like it did it successfully. We can go over and take a quick glance at the database. Find admin. And we will see the deposits table, deposit reasons table, and payments table. And in our transactions, we no longer have columns, the payee ID as a foreign key. Cool. My brain went crazy just then. All right, so we successfully reconfigured the clever lookup item table configuration, applied the migration. I guess created and applied the migration. Cool. So we're going to commit that because I want to merge it into the parent branch, not master, so that we can continue the deposit UI. Sketching UI. Added separate tables for deposits and payments, as well as the deposition reason. Go. Oh, is this one? Okay, I got rid of that. We will go ahead and merge. Confirmed. Deleted. Because I trust that it was successful. I trust it so much that I'm just going back to my code, switching over to the sketching UI branch, pulling, and deleting. Yes. Brave. He just does it. Okay, no more database stuff. Now let's continue on with sketching out the UI that we were working on, which is the deposit UI from a whiteboard that kind of looks like, but no guarantees, kind of looks like this. And what we were in the middle of doing was create is Mama Base next? Yes, Dukasoft. We will work on Mama Base as well. Huh. Maybe. Okay. Anyway. Yeah, that's not part of this. Okay. So deposit now has this deposit, or not now has, but we wanted to put in this deposit reason dropdown, but we didn't have a deposit reason lookup. So now we do. So we're going to go back to this thing here. We're no longer working on you. We can put this back on you. Set a start a project. And we are looking at the deposit entry page as well as the deposit view model that will now have deposit reason ID. Yay! And that's what this thing was supposed to be down here. Whoops. And we're going to have the memo. We're going to have the posted date. You know what? Did I actually put the date entered? I didn't. Cool. I didn't. Awesome. And we're also going to have line items, which there's only going to be one line item. Actually, it's just going to be the amount only. So we're going to do public float amount. And you are nullable. And actually, you aren't going to be nullable. You're going to just be 0 by default. So is that everything that we need from this little sketch? The deposit date, to account, reason, memo, and amount. Deposit date, I did put posted date, to account, deposit reason, memo, and amount. Bye. This is the case. So I don't know why I went to it there when it was over here. We are going to grab, because I wanted this, duh. Um, we're going to grab essentially the majority of the UI from payment entry, but we are also going to have our underlying model that we are going to use for this entry. So private deposit, nope, deposit deposition view model. Goodness griefus. And this would be our deposit. What did I call it over here? Did I just call it model? No. I called it new payment. So we're going to call this new deposit equals new by default. Control that. Fantastic. I'm also going to get the list of accounts. What am I doing? List of accounts as well as the list of deposit reason. And again, both of these will have their own view models eventually, but for now we're just, oh, look up deposit reason. For now we're mocking these. We're making fun of them. We are, no, we're mocking them. So that we can at least see what the behavior should be on this page. When we first load, we're going to say it takes 2 seconds. It should be a lot faster, but we're going to say it takes 2 seconds before it gets our list of accounts and deposit reasons. Deposit reasons. Yeah, new list of deposit reasons with new, sure. Vindies, 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 Vindies. Yes. Deposit reason would be regular paycheck. This could be something like income tax, like state income tax return, federal income tax return. I don't know what else you would get paid for. Secretarial donations. Just because. Thank you, Dukasoft. Just because. Oh, I guess the other things that I have tracked, now that I'm looking over here, are like when family gives money. But I guess that could be just because as well. Okay, now that we have our lookup items, we can populate our firm, our what? Our firm, our edit firm with a slash edit firm. Did I really not put that in my imports? Why wouldn't I put that in my imports? That's odd. Okay, so we have the date. Payee is actually going to be, well, I'll grab it from below. We'll start with this. So here is our payee. You are a new deposit. I keep looking around, but I'm so blind. You there. There we go. Make this bigger. There you go. You go up, you pasta down. Format. You can't format because you don't like the word new payment. Something date. Deposit date. which actually transaction date makes more sense because the posted date, yeah. So let's say that you are a business and someone is paying you for goods or services. You might have an invoice date that is the transaction date, but then the actual posted date would be different than that invoice date. I don't know what's up with this formatting. Like the entire edit form and stuff inside of edit form has generally been pretty bad for formatting. Like when you do a select list, actually, you know what? We might be able to see that in this page here. When you do a select list that has nested items inside of it, and you try to auto format, although auto formatting isn't working at all currently for me. But like this stuff here would get all just way out of whack. Let's go with account. Account, you there. Okay. Yeah, no formatting at all for me. Like it was working for me and we are in just regular Visual Studio 2022. I guess it's because I don't really use edit forms. So I'm just really curious then, if I turn this into a select, I was about to put target count. And then I tried formatting that. I still got nothing. No formatting whatsoever. And then Control KE doesn't work here. And what about right click? View, not view, edit, advanced, format document, nothing. Nothing. If I did this, nothing. All right. I am not exactly sure. That has worked for me before. How fun. Good times. Nah, gonna have a good time. Hey. I wonder if it was because I had an error. All right, everyone is all left aligned. Control KD. Yeah. Okay. Fine. Whatever. Did I actually write some words in English? I did. I put to account. Ooh. Ooh. That sounds like it would be fun. Where are my notes? I need this in my notes. I just had a thought of something that we can do to overcomplicate this, um, which is Where is this? Finan. No, I wasn't taking notes in here. Could have sworn I was taking notes inside of this document. Finan. Well, I'll create a new section here. Okay, what if we have our basic app that just has everything laid out the way that we are currently laying it out? However, we provide functionality for allowing the user to define different types of input forms. So let's say that they want to create a new type of input form that is templated from a payment or templated from a deposit or templated from a transfer. So we know that we can map specific fields that they want to use into that form, but they can lay it out however they want. One of the things that popped into my head about this was, what if this is the form that they want to use as their invoicing form? Someone is going to get charged some amount of money for a service I performed and they are paying me, so they want this to be called invoice date. And so the label that's on this, what we're calling transaction date, says invoice date because that's what they want in their templated deposit form, their custom deposit form. That would be cool. Fix type, payment, deposit, transfer. Chooses where to put input elements. Chooses what labels to use on input elements. Cool. So idea is written down, is writ on my face. Whoa. Okay, moving on. To account, the next thing that we have in here was the deposit reason, which is going to be the exact same thing as account, except using the word deposit. Dang it, that's not going to work. Deposit reasons. Yes. Yeah, you know what? I think it is this current Razor editor because it's not even giving me the red squigglies for lines that have errors on them. So I'm going to close it and reopen it. I'm still not able to format, but like here, I just put a random character and it should give me a red squiggly right here. But the Roslyn compiler, the thingy that gives me my in editor red squigglies, is not. Why not? Like here, I wouldn't have noticed this. Help. What else? What else is broken that I'm not noticing? We can have, do we want the amount first or the memo first? It looks like I put the memo first and then amount. Memo. Did you see that? There was a red squiggly there. Venmo. Venmo. Someone Venmo me. Amount. number. I wonder if this input number can handle floats. It can. It can. About. And then, of course, we need all of our localization for the currency types and stuff, which we're not going to worry about at the moment, but we do need to keep that in mind as we're doing this. And then the button is just going to be a button. Okay. What does that look like? I bet you it looks like the best app ever. Hmm. And there it is. I will bring it on over. Here is the magical app of beans. We have a home page, styled the best ever. Here's our payments page. Awesome. Functional. Do you work yet? Can I add something here now? I can. I don't know if you remember, but yesterday I tried to show that you can add line items and then it failed. But yes, yes, rounding issues, precision issues. Oh, they're the best. That's going to be fun to figure out. I'm sure it's because I'm using floats, but like how can you have an issue adding 3.3 to 1.23? I don't get you. Nope. There. Anyway, deposits. We now have a deposits window with the stray curly brace. Yes. Oh, I love that curly brace. I'm keeping it. Probably at the very end. Yeah. Whoa. Okay. So now our transfers page is going to look a lot like our deposits page, but it's going to have a from account and to account, but no deposit reason. I need to tell this thing, get to stepping. Come on, apply. Apply. Oh, it needs to rebuild for that one. That's done. There we go. Yosh. Transfers. Here we go. Here we go. So since it's going to be the same, I'm going to go ahead and copy. No, that's transfer.cs. Why are you still expanded? Okay. Pasta U. Everything that says deposit. say transfer. Count. Cool. We'll get rid of this. We'll create our deposit reasons. Cool. Why are you broke? Because it don't have no properties. I ain't got no properties, such as in transaction date and posted date. And if a lot of these have the same models, then obviously we're going to have a base transaction model that all of these will inherit from that have transaction date, posted date, probably amount would be another good one, and line items. And yeah, I think that would work. Where amount would be virtual. So we could override amount and have it be because I'm going from floats to doubles. Special kid. Flat. There we go. Because they are doubles. What was I thinking? Excuse me, are you guys doubles? Weird. All right, so memo. Yeah, so all of them do have the transaction date, the posted date, a memo, and that seems like everything that all of them should, well, and then the amount. Yeah. Okay. This one also has public int from account id and target account id. Source, source. I like source better. Is there anything that a transfer has that I have not listed? Transfer date, memo, from account to account and amount. No. The answer is no. Okay, so user will get transaction date to account, from account. I put the memo above this in the design, but I also put it below it. So we'll decide which one looks better to us eventually. But for now, I'll just keep it above the amount and the submit button. And you don't need to get this. And that should be everything we need in order to see our transfer page. Cool. Checking, savings. Yeah, that would probably be a validation rule that we want to put on here. But maybe we also want to consider having some kind of help for the user, helper, where we loop through accounts where ID not equals new transfer source account id. So when you pick something from the first dropdown, that does not show up in the second dropdown. But what happens when you already have something selected in the second, and then you pick that same one in the first? Does it actually update the underlying account name? Don't output the tags, output the actual object. Yeah, that's what I thought. So it doesn't actually update the number. So we'll probably have to hook into the on change so that we can make sure to clear out the selected account. What I don't get is why didn't assigning this to blank make it null? I was expecting selecting the first item to make it null. That'd be fine. It'll be fine. It's fine. Everything's fine, okay? Here's an idea. Private int source. Oh, because I didn't make them nullable. That's one thing. Let me just see if that fixes my selecting the... Yeah, okay, good. So that's going to be fine. And now what I would like to do then is public, I keep doing public, private int source account id. We'll just leave it null. We'll return source account id. When we set, we'll do if the current source account id is value, don't need to do anything else. Source account id equals value. No idea why I wanted to put those curly braces. If target account id is the value, then target account id gets set to null. The question is my UI actually going to update because of that, or do I need to make this an iNotify property changed type of situation? So here's cheese. I'm going to select cheese. It updated. It updated. No special thing needed. Savings. Well, that was easy. So again, that's just there to help the end user. We're not going to rely on that to be our validation or anything. It's just there to be convenience. So yeah, All right then. That is how simple it should be to do all of that. So we've mocked up our payment, transfer, and deposit. I don't know that I want to mock up the transaction history yet until we get some actual transactions put in here. So let's move on to styling. Wasn't there one more? Oh, a dialogue. Right. So for creating new payees, creating new accounts, adding deposit reasons, adding line items. I think I need to step away for a quick second and think about this. I shall return very shortly. Better. I can think now. And scratch. Okay. Did you enjoy seeing that wonderful bean footage? Seeing this beautiful design on screen for that long? Okay. Okay. Do I really want to do that? First, I'm going to do a local commit. I'm so used to like at the end of the day doing a commit all and push. And like because it's just been so long since I've like been working on my work product, which I do a ton, not really a ton, but a bunch of mini local commits before doing my end of day commit. We've been working on this project since then, and I've only been doing a commit at the end of the day. I like immediately go commit all and push. Not my standard practice, promise. I do small commits. Anyway, created financial transaction data entry pages and view models. No, I did it. Whatever. Commit all and push. Just do it. Just do it. Just commit all and push. I mean, it's not hurting anything, but still. I like to be in the practice of doing small local commits and then doing one big push at the end. Hello, Ilvi. Words, pronunciations. Hello, how are you doing on this fantastic Tuesday? I hope it's a wonderful day for you. whatever time it happens to be. Okay. Close, close, close. Let's talk about these styles. Do we want to talk about these styles? Do we want to do some more thoughtful design first? Awesome. First of all, congratulations. So Ilvi said, I start my first dev job in 2 weeks. Any tips? So any of you in chat that feel like giving tips, please feel free. My tips are, since this is your first dev job, you should not feel like you're expected to know everything. So don't go into your new job, into your new role, thinking you need to try to impress people. Go in there thinking that you're expected to be new to development jobs. That's my biggest tip. Because if you try to just be like, try to impress people, you're going to keep to yourself. You're not going to ask questions when you don't understand a thing. People are going to ask you in a way that makes you feel like you should know whatever it is that they're talking about. Don't fall into the trap of just going with it. Instead, ask questions when you don't know about whatever it is that they're talking about. That's gotta be my biggest piece of advice. And of course, please take it as just advice. It's not the way to be. There are probably times when you want to go along with whatever your team is trying to tell you, if you're working on a team, whatever it is that your team is trying to get across to you, because they're just trying to get it, unload information onto you. So take notes. Try not to let them rush you through that. But take notes, and then whatever you didn't understand of what they were talking about, what they were trying to talk you through, look it up later. And then ask any pointed questions about whatever the technology is, whatever the requirements are, what your role is. And I guess up front, also expect that onboarding process to take anywhere from 2 weeks to 2 months, depending on where you got your job at. So you might not even be touching the code base until a month to 2 months in. There's going to be a lot of do this required training. There's prevention of sexual harassment type of stuff. There's fair labor practices. Again, depending on the size of your company, depending on who it's for. Protecting privacy information, things of this nature. So expect to do a lot of that. What else? Sorry, I keep reaching over here to feel if this laptop is still burning up. Because I tried a few things and I've been running videos on it to see if the videos are causing it to overheat too. Sexual stuff. And here I thought we'd be programming. Exactly. But you need to know about that when programming. Trust me. Oh, all right. What I want to know is, I just put my arm up. It kind of hits this invisible wall, even though it can go down. I'm just a good mime, that's all. I'm good at miming hitting a wall. Look, I even have the little muscle ripple, I mean fat ripple. Anyway, magic. Point is, should we go through, nice physics, should we go through and maybe do a more solid design of the overall look and feel of the site. Because again, we did decide to go down the UI first route and then start building up models and updating the database and stuff as we went along. And then we're going to do functionality programming. So not functional programming, functionality programming after we're done with getting a few of these pages set up so that we can start doing things like entering some sample data. I do know people that are good enough, and I'm not one of them, that are good enough to go ahead and pre-populate the database with sample data. But for me, it's kind of like I want to put together the UI and then use the UI to enter a few records and then go ahead and use sample data to populate the database. Right. Yeah, this is going to be a very fun one to put together. So I don't know. Oh yeah, and then I came up with this too. So I'm thinking, unless anyone has any alternative ideas. Aw, thank you so much for the follow, Ilgriff. Illigriff. Are those wireframes? These are squigglies. It's called doodling, I think, is what most people call this. Getting the font to work will be tough, though. Dukasoft was asking where he can find this font. He wants to use it in his app. Yeah, so unless anyone has any objections or alternatives, I'm going to go ahead and try to sketch out our main layout, look and feel, maybe pick some colors. We aren't going to do theming yet. We're just going to do a base set of colors. And to do that, we're going to use Figma. How could this happen to me? And we'll use Bob Ross's designs. Another one. Another one. Thank you, Ilvi. I hope the doodling Figma. What a day. Oh man. Learning about so many new tools already. I really like this parrot. That looks cool. This is my team colors. What? I don't remember this. What is this? Not now. This file contains your color styles. They are applied to the shapes in the example above. You can use. Oh, is this just given to me for free from Figma? That's okay. I have no idea how any of them work. So I have Adobe XD, and I have done design in Adobe XD before. But as you can see, I just did color gradients and shading as opposed to filling in the actual colors, because it's like I want this part to be dark, I want this to be darker, and then I want this to be the lighter of the darks, and then this to be not white, but everything covered up by this. And so it's kind of like, you know, a way that I have seen actual artists doing design work, which is let's just put in the brightness values, and then we'll add colors, and then those colors will be overlaid onto the brightness values. Do I have any others? Do I have other cool stuff in here? This is Grant's design. Maybe I can learn some stuff from this. Yes, of course it is. But as I mentioned, Ilvi. So Ilvi's comment was, "I'm scared that I won't be good enough." Is that normal? Yes, absolutely, completely normal. Um, the whole point behind it is that you're aware of it, and knowing that you're aware of that you feel inadequate or you're going to feel like an imposter. You've heard of imposter syndrome, I'm sure. Um, just kind of means that you're just aware. You know that there's going to be things expected of you. But the point that I was trying to make is you will be expecting more of yourself than other people are going to be expecting of you for being your first dev job. Um, I'm terrible at this part of the advice because there's a point when I just want to say go through the struggles and the fears, because you're not gonna get through your experience in any other way other than going through it yourself. We can try to give you some comforting words and thoughts. It's not always going to be roses and stuff, but I just want to help assuage some of your fears and just tell you some expectations that you can reasonably have, which are your seniors will understand that you are new and you're going to take a minute to get caught up to where they want you to be, and don't let people rush you. But also, do the work. Okay, anyway, I have no idea where these colors came from. I think they just came from Figma. Uh, it gave me some colors. So anyway, I'm not great at Figma. I haven't done very much in it. So forgive me if I struggle a little bit. Interesting. So one thing that I've seen is using a panel. Can I using a panel, 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 panel. How do I add a panel? Using a panel as your page. So I totally thought that there was a such thing, that there was an object called a panel. No? Okay, we'll just draw a rectangle then. Um, we'll make the rectangle 1920 by 1080. Nope. 1024 by 768. Yep. Excuse me. Okay. Once again, I kind of just want to go with the hues. Um, Not hues, the brightness values. Clean lines, ship it. Yes. Does anyone even know what this thing should look like? Because I don't have. I mean, I have this as far as the forms are concerned, but the overall app, like when you first land on this app, and let's say that it's only a web app, so we don't have to consider having this thing be desktop appropriate, be designed with desktop in mind. Can I just call you homepage? I really, really don't know how to use this. Like, is there something that I need to do to make this be a container? Oh, I can't hear it. Headphones. Actually, I think I may have turned. No, I can't hear it. There it is. Funky. Feels straight out of the 60s or 70s. Wow. It's called Tasty Jam. It is better. This one's called Calm. Anyway, I'm not trying to knock it if you actually liked it, that song. Definitely not my style. Okay, so there is our component. How do I turn this thing into a reusable component? Publish. Oh, that's a pay feature. Can I duplicate it though? I can. And if I make a modification to this, will it change the previous one? Yes, it will. Where did you get? Okay. I still don't, yeah, I'm not understanding. I turned it up too loud. Excuse me. Shush. Too loud. Okay. Essentially what I want to do is create a bunch of these. Paste here. Wow. Okay, so those are both components from the same base. Oops. But I would like for this one to be a variant before I make any more change. Well, I guess the first thing that I want to do is decide on like the overall background color, which I know that I want this app to initially be dark only. So what kind of dark colors? Yeah, this will just be my colors page. How about that? Wait, this was my variant? Okay, this is cool. I kind of like the implications of that. Anyway, in the page, I want a bunch of little colors, which we have colors. We picked it when we were doing our theming example. So we're going to go ahead and create our dark night color theme. Dark night, darkness. I forgot what we were going to call it. Dark side. So I need a text up here somewhere. Okay, so let's just start off with black, just so we have somewhere to actually see stuff. Okay, my question is, for our dark side colors, do we just want to go with gradients of black, or do we want to include actual colors too as well also? And do they have a clever, cool way for me to duplicate this down? Group. There we go. Grouping is what I wanted. Oh, I got it. I got it. I did it twice. All right. We have another group. So yeah, I'm going to get rid of this. And so this group is going to be called cross. Okay, so I should be able to copy pasta. And this one is going to be called Not as Black. That's the other thing that's going to be hard. Coming up with names for these colors, man. Root. No. Colors. Variables. Color variables are where? Apparently, I put all of the colors directly in here. I didn't actually do SAS colors. So yeah, I don't really have any dark side colors predefined. I closed it. Does that count? Nothing? And task. And task again. There it goes. Why isn't this applying to Visual Studio Preview? How about we look at just some Pantone colors, shades of black. No, I meant like actual names of the shades of black. Please. Oh, that's hard to read. What does that say? Actually, the last three are hard to read. Black C? Are they actually called like different letters? Because that would be easy. If I just had like levels of black, one being the deepest black, or maybe zero. Whoa. Whoa. What happened to the time? Black shade 1, black shade 2, black shade 3. I'm not sad about that. Let's go with that. But yeah, we still have the question of should we also have colors in our dark side? Like other than black. Because the only thing that we really want for our dark side colors is for them to be for them to be dark and stuff. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, but we'll come up with that. And maybe this is something that I can eventually open up and just invite people into the team to maybe come up with color schemes and stuff like that. Wolf, you're here again at the end of the stream. So I know you came earlier today, but on Tuesdays I start 15 minutes earlier, which means that I also end 15 minutes before my normal ending time. Because I have a meeting on Tuesdays at 12:30, which is 15 minutes from now, and I want to have time to prepare for that. So, with that said, tomorrow we're going to pick up on um, fixing this eye. We're going to pick up on creating all of the colors that we're going to use and that we're going to have to be able to pick from. Then we're going to come up with some ideas. Oh yes, the end. We're going to come up with some ideas about what to use each of those colors on. Normally my CSS list, my SAS list of colors is 30 or 40 different CSS variables that have to do with table border colors, the actual in-between row colors, the background color of the title, background color of the alternate rows, background color of the footer, cards, everything. So we're gonna come up with all of that stuff tomorrow. All of it. We're gonna have all of it done tomorrow. I'm sure of it. And then we're gonna create the landing page, and then we're gonna do actual design work. I'm not gonna say I'm looking forward to that at all. But that's okay. It'll be fun. We'll figure out just how much actual work designers do because I have a lot of respect for them. Anyway, we'll explore together. So I will see you again the next time you come visit. Hopefully it's tomorrow, if not sometime in the future. But thank you for being here. Thanks for hanging out. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. I'm going to run off into my meeting. Raid Thindle? Sure. Sure. Absolutely. He'll be understanding that I need to run off. So if you feel like it, hang out for the raid. We're going to go over to Thindle. He's a big supporter of our community. He's contributed quite a bit to just, the overall .NET way of life. He wrote Don't Dox Yourself, which is a cool plugin you can add or extension you can add to your Visual Studio, especially if you're a streamer. Yeah, I just have trouble rating people that, that I don't know if they are okay with me dropping and running, but I know Thindle will be okay with it. So anyway, we're heading over there. I will see you again the next time you visit. Ciao for now. Juice. I'm Batman. What? Okay, bye.